Alright guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and today we are going to be driving on track at the National Corvette Museum. If you guys might remember last year, I was planning on selling this car at the end of the year, but after having to make such a big investment over winter, I figured I at least need to get my money's worth. So we're going to take one more year driving it at all the same tracks just to see how good I can get it, and basically just try to learn this car a little bit more. I think last year my best time was like a 2:28. So this time I would love to see like a 26 or a 25. I definitely know the car is capable of it. It's mostly just me being a better driver. So excited to see how we do this year. Let's go ahead and get back out on track, see how it does, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, before we jump into the video, quick plug for the homies. If you guys haven't seen my old videos, every event that I post where I go to a track day are events hosted by the Kentucky PCA. And yes, PCA is of course the Porsche Club of America, but any vehicle can go to their events. So that includes things like BMWs and Minis, or you'll even see Corvettes, Mustangs, basically any car that you want to track. You can go to one of their events and get some seat time. And of course, it goes for anybody, whether you're brand new to the track and have never been out there before. They'll pair you with an instructor. They'll put you in classes that coach you and teach you how to drive. And throughout the weekend, you'll just continue to get faster and faster as you learn your car. And of course, they've got advanced run groups for everybody that has a bunch of years of seat time, or even folks that have racing licenses. So wide spectrum of people, a lot of things to learn. I highly recommend coming out if you really want to see what your car can do. I will have their page linked in the video description so you can see the rest of the events that they have on the calendar. And of course, as I've mentioned, I am an instructor with them. So if you want to learn your car, I'm the guy that can help you out. So definitely check them out if you're interested in getting your car on track. And let's go ahead and hop into the video and see how I did at NCM. So going out for the first session of the weekend, I was a little late, but feeling confident. The car was repaired after last year's issues and feeling really strong. So of course I was ready to go, but I knew I'd be a little bit rusty. Really rusty. Okay, yeah, I need to back off a little bit. This is similar to what happened last year. The first couple laps, I really got humbled and had to remind myself that the conditions are different, the car is different, and I really need to relearn everything and slowly creep up to the limits of the car so I don't potentially do something embarrassing. So continued to get humbled for the first few laps, but eventually I started getting back comfortable with the track and felt a little more familiar and comfortable with the car. I learned a lot, like cold temps make the car feel way more responsive. So I really had to be careful with the throttle. It felt really sensitive, even if I wasn't in sport mode, but you know, I had to be careful just to prevent the rear end from losing grip. Then after a few laps, I realized that my times weren't actually matching up properly with the start-stop line. It was kind of funny because you can see in the video the time would pop up when I wasn't paying attention, and then as soon as I crossed the line and checked the time, it would just disappear. So I knew something was up, and I've had this happen before, and I figured once I got back into the pits, I would be able to fix it. So I ended up just using most of the session to practice the lines and get comfortable with the braking points and get things as consistent as possible. I did happen to beat my personal best of a 2:28 though, which was nice. So now personal best is a 2:27. That's awesome, but I had a C8 Corvette trying to eat me, and with managing the pass, I completely blew turn one. And turn two. This ended up being a common theme throughout the weekend, but more on that later. So that was fun. Today is the Friday lapping day, so that's why there's so little traffic. And it's nice to be able to do this with other advanced drivers because everybody has a good pace. There's not a lot of traffic and you can get a whole lot more track time for your money. So it came out on Friday. Saturday and Sunday is going to be a regular HPDE, so it'll be a lot more congested, but thankfully we already beat our personal best. Well, we ran a 227. The only thing is I noticed that for some reason it was set up for the wrong track. So for whatever reason, when you bring your Solo 2 here, if you are going to be driving at NCM, make sure you set it to NCM full. It defaults to like the autocross track or the motorcycle track, which is pretty frustrating. So at least from a time standpoint, I was able to run a 227, but the start-stop time was wrong, and I'm sure the overlay video would be wrong, so it's not even worth trying to create that. But just gives me more opportunity to try to recreate that time and even beat it. Like I said, my goal is like a 26 or a 25, so we'll keep pushing today. Unfortunately, it's supposed to rain later this afternoon, so I'll probably get one more chance to try to push it before lunch, and we'll see how it does. Otherwise, we've got the rest of the weekend to try. So let's see. This car is doing really good today. I think I forgot to mention the changes that I made. So everything else is the same, but we installed SPL front control arms, which are a major upgrade. I think I highlighted in some of my videos that lowering the car may have hurt performance because I didn't correct the suspension geometry with it. It gave me more camber, which is good, but having the front control arms that raise your roll center really wakes up the front end and just makes it handle so much better. So after you're getting those installed, as well as an alignment, I think that's giving me a lot more rotation, which is why I'm constantly fighting the car. But that's just, again, for me as a driver to get used to and figure that out. So let's see if we can get another session in before the rain comes and hopefully beat our best time. So stay tuned. So now out for session 2, I took a couple laps to warm up, and I went from a 29 to another 27, and then finally I got it, a 26. And can you guess what came next? Yep, blew through turn 1. Now you might be asking, hey Kevin, now did you learn the lesson to stop focusing on the timer? Are you gonna pay more attention to the track so you make sure that you hit your braking point? Of course not, but let's keep going. So next session, I go back out feeling pretty good, and with a 26.0, it's obvious that the car is capable of a 25, so I decided to rush out there before traffic gets bad so I can go chase some more times. That's weird. For some reason, traction control keeps kicking in, and this is just the warm-up lap. Hopefully something isn't wrong. Yeah, that's definitely not where you want traction control interfering over the crest on the back straight where you're doing 100+ miles an hour. This is starting to make me nervous, but let's see if I can adjust. I know the tires are old and it's getting colder, so traction is more limited than normal, but let's just focus on seat time because obviously this won't be the session to set a PB. So at least the power is good. 131 is the fastest I've been that I can remember. On the dash, it almost indicated 140, so definitely moving. I'm just trying to be patient through here and still seeing the traction light flicker. This may just end up being the most annoying session of the weekend. Yeah, the light is going crazy. Conditions must just be really bad or something. So basically I went through the whole session like this. I was off pace due to constantly fighting grip, so I was only able to manage a 228, and that was with some traffic during the lap. So as good as last year, but not what I wanted. Then I got to the end and decided to come into the pits, and I came to an incredible revelation. Yeah, that's right. I was in comfort mode the whole time. I didn't have traction control disabled. That was frustrating. And it's not something that jumped out at me because even with traction mode like I normally run, you still see the traction light come on from time to time if you really get out of control. But I didn't realize that the main traction light wasn't enabled, so the flashing light was something that I should have been paying attention to. No big deal. We'll get back out there. All right, just finished up the third session and I'm really happy with the car. I ran a 226.01, so literally right on the cusp of a 225. Of course, I can't claim it until I actually get it, but obviously that shows that the car is capable of a 25. So that had me on cloud nine. I was so excited that I ran another 27 to back it up and then went even faster. But went out for the third session because it's starting to get cold. It's getting cold, and you can still see it's like super overcast. Those are all clouds and stuff outside. And so it's supposed to rain, but I was like, while it's cool, it's like 55 degrees, let's take advantage of this good air and see what we can get. And the car is just constantly kicking on traction control, and I couldn't figure out why. It's not that uncommon, even with traction mode on, for traction control to pull a little bit of power if you get like completely squirrely, but I wasn't doing anything. Like the car still felt like it had traction. It just kept intervening and pulling power. And so I was like trying to figure out what was wrong, kept pushing laps, and then eventually got fed up. And right when I got fed up, of course, I started thinking about it and realized I was in comfort mode. I wasn't even in traction mode. And that's why it was pulling so much power. But the fact that I still ran a 28 in comfort mode, I think says something. The car, again, is obviously much more capable than it was. The SPL control arms are an insane upgrade. This just shows you with just that one mod how much faster the car is. And I also think that it's making me a better driver because I have to be patient. You can see how often the car is getting loose, and that's up to me to manage my pedal control. And so I really can't get into it until the wheel is completely open. I probably could get around and boogie a little bit more if I was on stock turbo or maybe even the stock tune where you can be in it all the time. But with the upgraded turbo, it just needs a little more sensitivity. And the way the turbo comes in, it kind of kicks in hard. So that's something that I'm working on to see, if there's any more time in it. I definitely think there's a 25 in it, maybe a 24 if I really nail it and put it all together. But if I started running bottom 20s, you wouldn't be able to tell me anything. And our 340i, like, that's insane. So yeah, again, big shout out to SPL parts. Those front control arms did wonders, and we do have a couple more things waiting to go on the car as well. So stay tuned for that. But really excited to keep pushing it. Hopefully the rain stays away and I get one more dry session with this cool air, but we'll kind of see. So fingers crossed we get that 25 today. So now it's time for session 4. And do you think I learned my lesson not to rush out? No. I went back out and got up front and had a good time chasing this C8. We were both on a similar pace, which was, feeling really fun. Finally got through that little bit of traffic, and then it's hard to see or hear it in the video, but that was fuel cut. So it seems like the RK pump helped me out. I was able to get to right at or just under half a tank, but there's still an issue with the fuel demand after a lot of right-hand turns and big sweepers. I should have filled up before this session, but again, rushing onto the track made me make things better. No, it didn't. So I brought it back in, went straight to the pump to add some gas, and then went back out. But now it's starting to drizzle. Again, not ideal, but I wanted as much seat time as possible, regardless of conditions. Plus, it's a lot of fun to push through the weather and pass people that have faster cars, but they have more concern over their assets. Yeah, that's right, look out, the beater Bimmer boy is coming through. The nice thing is, a lot of times you see some water, but it doesn't really stick. The heat of the tires keeps the track dry, so that was definitely the case here. I just kept paying attention, and as I went around and felt the levels of grip, I was able to get my confidence up. So I continued pushing harder and harder, and boom. We got it, a 225. Now, unfortunately, my buddy had some car trouble in his Miata, so right before I could catch this 992 GT3 RS, we got a full course black flag. So it was time to pull into the pits.
Yes! Yes! That was a horrible lap. Like, so many mistakes. That means it can definitely do a 24. Unfortunately, we're getting black flagged, so everybody's got to come in probably because of that Miata. But worth it, man. Worth fighting with the rain and the wet track to get this PB. Hopefully tomorrow we can improve on that. Maybe we'll get a 24. I don't even know. I gotta look at some video or some data or something to understand where this is coming from, because I mean, I feel like I'm doing a lot of stuff the same, and I'm being probably even more hesitant in a lot of spaces, especially like up here, because the car is so touchy. I just want to make sure I don't end up going off into the tires or something. But it's still there. I mean, if I really stayed in it, I could probably do way more if I had more confidence in the car. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Always have tomorrow.
Well, guys, we did it. We got our 25, almost a 24. And it's crazy to think, for one, that we did that while it was wet out. There was some traffic, you know, and also being able to see that potentially it could do a 24 is just crazy to me. And I felt like this car was capable, especially with the mods, because I knew other people with similar platforms that had ran similar times, even like in the low 20s. But I don't know. I wasn't really sure I was going to get it this weekend. You know, I felt like I said that it was possible, and then it almost psyched me out. Like, you almost start wondering, like, why do I think that it can do that? Like, how do I know that's possible? But sure enough, we squeezed one out. So unfortunately, like you saw, everybody got black flagged. I had to get off the track because of that Miata. I'm not sure what happened to it, but maybe they just need to tow it in. I don't think it dropped any oil or anything. But we'll see tomorrow if we can improve on the time, and also if I can be more consistent. Because if you can't tell, my biggest issue is after I do that one glory run and get a best time, suddenly I lose all sense and make some critical errors on some of the most technical parts of the track. And so I've got to stop focusing on the time, as much fun as it is and as much as I care about it. You know, it's important that I focus on the track, focus on my, you know, braking points, turning points, all that stuff, especially my pedal control, like we talked about, to get to a point where that doesn't keep happening. I don't know why. It's like every time I hit a really good time, I just completely mess it up coming out of it. So that's what I'll be working on tomorrow. Consistency, hopefully hitting multiple 25s or 26s or wherever I end up, and being able to do it back to back without making those critical errors. So we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't rain too much today and the track stays mostly dry, so tomorrow morning we can get some more laps in. So we'll be right back. So yeah, back for day 2, and thankfully it's a clear day. No more clouds or oncoming rain, but it is super cold. I was eager to see if there would be any improvements since the cold weather seemed to help. So I went out with the first group nice and early. Now, this just so happened to be the red group, so it was the fastest group of the weekend, and I got past a lot. I'm on par for power with a lot of the guys in this group, but definitely not matching their overall pace. These guys were fast, and some of them have real race cars, so I ended up backing down to the black group and stayed there for the rest of the weekend. And it was fun trying to keep up for a session, but not a great way to get a PB if you're constantly backing off to let faster cars by. All right, guys, we are back for day 2, and it is freezing cold. It was like 36 this morning. Now it has warmed up to 44. So freezing cold outside. Just got done with my first session, and the car feels super fast, but the tires just don't feel like they have as much grip. I don't think I'm getting as much heat into them. So we'll kind of see as the day goes on. I'm hoping like around 50 or 60 degrees we'll have some optimal temps, and that should be good to go. But this morning it was still good. We got some parade laps in, so my son came with me. We drove around. That was a good time. He got to be on track and wear his helmet, and he really enjoyed that. And the only thing I think I might be having an issue. I had a check engine light on my cold start this morning, so I scanned for codes, and it was indicating that the heat management module was having problems, which would really suck because I just swapped the intake manifold, and if I had known this was going to be a problem, I would have done it at the same time. But maybe it's just kind of like a freak accident thing, since I'm pushing it, it's maybe not feeling like it's hitting its target when it should or whatever. So we'll kind of see. My first session, I did see temps going up a little bit, which I wouldn't expect with it being this cold outside. So yeah, we'll just kind of have to see how things go. But hopefully at least it lets me get some laps in, especially as it warms up a little bit, so you can get that optimal mix of good performance with the turbo, cool air, but a track that isn't like frozen. So we'll see. First session down, nothing too crazy, nothing to write home about, but we'll go later in the afternoon and see how it goes. Now it's time to go back out for session 2, and I noticed a check engine light when I turned on the car for this session. So it seems like my heat management module is on its way out, but I'm not necessarily sure in what way. It could be stuck closed, which would suck because that would block off coolant from going to all of the coolant radiators, or it could be stuck open, which would effectively mean I'm in max cooling mode all the time. No big deal, right? So how do we find out? Clear the codes and go beat on the car on track. I set the air conditioner to 84 with a higher fan speed just in case, so it would kind of help get some heat out of the cooling system while I was driving, and plus it was cold, so that was pretty comfortable to drive with, and I went ahead and sent it. The good news is that temps stayed good. They hovered around 230 to 240 for oil temps towards the end of the lap, but as soon as I switched to the cool down lap, the temps started dropping, and by the time I got back to the pits, temps were around 180 degrees Fahrenheit. I ended up going the rest of the weekend like this, and honestly, I cleared the codes, and after the weekend, it hasn't come back. So maybe it was just a freak thing during that day, not really sure, but I'll keep an eye out for it in the future. This session, I made sure to be first in line again to give me the best opportunity to not be in a lot of traffic. And I was cooking pretty good, but within 2 laps, I started hitting traffic again. This is why the Friday run groups are so valuable, because when the HPD starts, there are so many more people and they come out at different times. So you run into folks during their warm-up laps and stuff like that. It's just not ideal, but I still had fun. Again, the whole point of this weekend is seat time. It's not a race. It's not a timed event. So it's really just about enjoying your car. And honestly, the rest of the day was like this, so nothing really to write home about. Lots of Cayman sandwiches though, but again, fun overall. So back out for day 3. This is the final day of the weekend, and I'm hoping to get my glory run in. Again, temps are cold, the track is clear, and I was first in line, so really hoping for some clear laps. The good news is I finally learned at least one lesson, and I tried to be deliberate this time about warming up the tires on the out lap. Then the first few laps were fun. We had fun being the underdog and chasing this Taycan Turbo that clearly had way more power, but also weighed a bunch more, so couldn't really hang with me in the turns. And then I got humbled by this 200 horsepower Miata that put me in my place. This is just normal track day things. But I ran a few more 25s until I got this open lap and the magic happened. Yes, finally I ran a 24, and it wouldn't be a weekend PB if I didn't yet again blow through turn one. But from staring at the solo too closely, that's what's gonna happen. Again, hopefully I learned my lesson by the next track weekend. But it just felt like a movie. It was the last lap of probably the best session of the day, and everything just came together at the last second. I was so happy, and I was honestly ready to pack it up at that point. I hit all my goals for the weekend and more, and even with the mistakes I made, it just showed that the car was even more capable than what I could extract from it. So yeah, as we say, good car. Well, it wouldn't be a current track day video if I didn't forget to keep filming halfway through the weekend. As always, I start really having fun and getting into it, and I stop pulling my phone out. So let's do a little recap of how the weekend went. Again, first of all, big shout out to the Kentucky PCA for hosting another awesome event. They fed us lunch, they fed us dinner. I mean, again, overall, it was just awesome. So highly recommend it. A lot of you guys ask me where I get all of these Porsche shirts. Am I just like a real big Porsche fan? No, they give us the shirts at the event. So every time I go, I get a shirt and I wear them. So that's why I have a lot of Porsche shirts. But again, awesome group there. Again, we'll have their link in the video description if you want to see their schedule. Check them out. They do multiple events a year. And if you're in the Midwest area, you will have a great time. Highly recommend coming out. Now, other than that, a lot of takeaways from this weekend. One is hopefully you guys like the new point of view. I finally found a good spot to mount my GoPro where it's not on the side of my head and like missing things and, you know, kind of getting some blocked view angles. And also it's not super low, so it's not just filming my dashboard. You can actually see the hood of the car and see the cars that are in front of me. And you can even see some of the cars that are coming up in the rear view mirror. So I think I finally found the best location. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that too. As far as the weekend, again, the car is way more capable than what I'm able to extract. Hopefully you guys understand that. I do feel like I'm a good driver, but I'm not a perfect driver, and everybody has a lot to learn. I think this is my 4th weekend at NCM, and I was still adjusting throughout the weekend, and that's what enabled me to get faster and faster. So still more to learn. Next time I go there, I will still be learning more, but just my biggest takeaway is the 340 is an extremely capable car. A lot of the stuff that I did to it didn't even necessarily make it faster, but of course, you know, having good power with the upgraded turbo and good handling mods from my partners like SPL Parts and H&R all kind of really came together this weekend. Frankly, the tires were probably the weakest aspect of the car. I've had those tires for going on 2 years now. They're heat cycled out. They were purchased primarily because of the value. You get a lot of seat time with them and they last a really long time, but they're nowhere near as sticky or as grippy as some other tires. So even just replacing the tires, I'm sure it could have taken off another second or two. But you know, it is what it is. So I just want people to realize that yes, the 340 is an underdog. It's not a real M car, but with a couple simple mods, it is extremely capable. But the most important thing, as always, is seat time. So I just want to motivate you guys, you know, even if you don't have an M car, even if you're like me and you just have a more base model BMW or any car really, if you want to track your car, take it out. The worst thing that can happen is you find out where the limitations are and you actually work on things that matter to improve it for your next time. I just hate to see people assuming that they need coilovers and all of these crazy upgrades to go to their first track day when seat time is the thing that's going to make you have the biggest improvement over any mod you can throw at your car. So very happy with the car. I couldn't have asked for more. Hopefully we'll get a couple more weekends this year. I do have some more days slated on the calendar, so stay tuned for more follow-up videos from tracking the car with a few more mods that we've got on the shelf waiting to go on. But yeah, overall, I just had a really good time. So thanks again to the Kentucky PCA for hosting a great event. Otherwise, I think that's it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.